Ave Coder. In this video we're going to be installing Ubuntu on Windows 10 with the help of the Oracle VirtualBox, and we're going to do it properly. So chill and just follow the instructions. Put the Emperor's thumbs up, toll the bell and subscribe. Let's begin. And we're going to start our Linux adventures by going to a VirtualBox website and downloading one for ourselves. So in here I'm going to click on downloads, and as I'm recording this video, the latest build available for me is VirtualBox 6.0. So I'm going to choose it, and I will need Windows, of course, and the download begins. I'm going to cut in here and we'll carry on right now when the download already completed. So pretty much standard Windows installation process, just next. And here I'd like to pay attention to network interfaces because they're going to be changed. So I'm going to go to my control panel settings, and I'm going to show you what I mean when we're going to plug in the VM. We're going to see some changes under the network interfaces tab. So if I'll go to my adapter settings, so I have my Wi-Fi connections and some dead connections, but when we're going to finish the installation, I'm going to have another network interface in here, which is going to be responsible for the Oracle VirtualBox. Alright, let's move on. I'll click install, and that was quick. So as you can see, we have a network interface responsible for VirtualBox and a connection as well. So I'm gonna click finish, and just remind you this is how it's supposed to be, do not panic. And now we can head to the Ubuntu official website and download a version for ourselves. So ubuntu.com. But before I'll continue with the installation of Ubuntu, I need to double check one thing, and I'll recommend you to follow. So I'm typing msinfo, and in here I need to check that my Hyper-V virtualization was enabled. At the moment it's not. So I've restarted my laptop and I logged into BIOS, and here on virtualization technology I'm choosing enabled. Right, we good to go, and I'm going to download the latest long-term support version, which is 20.04 in my case, might be different in yours. And then I can start to set up the VirtualBox. So first of all, I need to give a name for the image. It's going to be Ubuntu 20.04 in my case. Type is defined as Linux. It's all good. Next we'll need to specify how much memory we would want to allocate. In my case, I will double it, 2 GB, and then create a virtual hard disk. Now I will leave it as default, and I can change it later if I want to. Next, VirtualBox disk image, we'll leave it as it is. There's nothing to change here. Next, on this tab we can allow VirtualBox to grab extra hard disk space as soon as it will require that, but I'll leave it as it is, dynamically allocated. That is absolutely fine by me, and I'll click next. And in here we can give it the initial hard disk space. By default is 10 GB, and I've just realized it's absolutely fine by me, so I'm gonna click create and move on. Alright, so we've just created a Ubuntu virtual machine that we can start to use, but first things first, we go into settings and we'll double check it's all good. The base memory, everything is as we planned. So the next one is the processor tab, and I'm gonna give it 2 CPUs of 4 available because I don't want it to be slow. And the next one is display, all good in here, nothing changed. But on a storage tab we can specify the image that we're going to use for mounting the Ubuntu on our VirtualBox. So I'm going to click plus and here choose the disk, and I'm going to choose the one I've just downloaded. So add image, Ubuntu 20.04, choose, and it's all good to go. We just need to choose it in here. And it's all ready to be used. All right, let's launch it. Click start. The first ever launch after you just completed the installation, it might be a tedious wait, so I'm gonna cut the video here somewhere, and we are good to begin setting up the Ubuntu itself. Alright, so in here, 2 options. We can either try Ubuntu or install it. So I'm going to click install. The English is UK standard, and you can choose whichever language you prefer. Next, normal installation, and here download updates while installing Ubuntu. I will leave everything as default, as you might have guessed by now, and I'm gonna click continue. But if you are currently using, say, mobile internet, I would recommend to untick this option, as it will pull a lot of stuff from the internet. Otherwise, continue. In here we have a choice to erase disk and install Ubuntu and something else. But because this is a virtual machine, we don't have to fear to lose any data. We're going to choose erase, and here we've been warned, but we like the risk and we can click continue. And after that we're going to be prompted where we are. In my case it's going to be London. Click continue, and the next question is going to be, who are you? So Ubuntu is trying to be our friend, I don't know, but we need to choose the name and the name of our computer. And we also need to choose a password, and I highly recommend to remember that password. So I'm going to call our computer Ubuntu VirtualBox. Username Ave Coder, and I'm going to pick a password. Good password, and continue, and that should be the end of the setup. Installation is complete. That was quick. So restarting. The first launch of Ubuntu is like first love. You will never forget it, and I bet you haven't forgot the password as well. So I'm going to type the password in here, and the black screen of joy, that means Ubuntu is getting ready. And in here it prompts us whether we want to connect our Google accounts. I'm really not going to bother with it now. I'm going to move on to more important stuff. So I'm going to close that window and other messages, and I'll skip the setup. To be honest, I'm gonna skip everything as it's not that important right now, and we need to get on with more important stuff. And here we've been told we are ready to go. All right, straight away we've been offered to update some software. Remind me later. I want to address a very well-known problem, which is making a VirtualBox full screen application, because even if I'll slide it right now, it's not going to go any bigger than that. So in order to address that, we're going to go to Devices tab and choose Insert Guest CD option. So we're clicking Run, confirming our password, and after it will finish, we'll have no problem to use Ubuntu as a full screen application. So now I can click on the full screen, and as you can see, it's much better than it was. Alright, so we'll continue to set up Ubuntu to fit our preferences. And the next thing I want to do is to make the font in the terminal window slightly bigger. So I'm going to the preferences, and under the profile I'm choosing a terminal font option, and I'm gonna increase the size of the font, and then I click select. And now with the bigger font, we can address the next issue, which is sharing between Ubuntu and our host system. So I'm trying to copy something from the Windows notepad into terminal. Nothing happens. Similar issue when copying from the terminal into the notepad, nothing happens. So under Devices tab and in Shared Clipboard, click bidirectional, and now it should work as prescribed. So let's try to copy something from the notepad and into the terminal. Oops. Let's do it the proper way, paste, and as you can see it works. And let's try copy something from the terminal into the Windows notepad, and it works. Fantastic. Now we can arrange a shared folder to copy the data between our host system and our VM. So I'm going into settings, and under the shared folders tab I'm clicking on add folder path button, and I'm choosing here the path to my Ubuntu folder, and don't forget to tick the auto mount option, and this will give you an access to one of the folders in your host system, Windows in my case. And as you can see, under other locations in shared folders, Ubuntu, confirming access with a password, and here we can see the Ubuntu image, and we'll check in Windows, and this is the folder I'm talking about. Alright, I hope that this video helped you, and if so, please give this video Emperor's thumbs up, toll the bell and subscribe. That was V. Thank you. Goodbye.